Hey guys, it's Cass. Today I am so excited to share with you my very first vintage fountain pen, and it is this little thing. It is a Parker 51 in Plum from 1949. I got it off eBay. It just got here yesterday, and I have been using it nonstop. I am beyond obsessed already with this pen. It does have the aerometric filling system, which I have mentioned many times on this channel that I loathe. I still hate it. That has not changed. It is very inconvenient and takes forever to clean, but that's okay. I'm not planning on changing the inks in here a ton. It's mostly just going to be dark purples that stay in here, so it's not a huge deal. This has been a long time coming for me to get a vintage Plum pen, 51. I have loved the design of Parker 51s pretty much since I got into fountain pens. Like, now it would be close to 8 years ago when I got into pens. The first time I saw an image of a Parker 51, I was just smitten, and I immediately did a ton of research. The hooded nib was what really hooked me. I love the look of a hooded nib. And I did a lot of research. I saw the Plum, told myself I'm getting a Plum. Of course, Plum is quite a bit more expensive than the other colors, just my luck. I think they're rarer. If that's wrong, please correct me, but I do think Plums are rarer. I know they cost more generally in the listings I've seen anyway. In general, they do cost more. And back then, I was a noob. In some ways, I still consider myself a noob, fountain pen newbie. But I didn't want to deal with needing to restore a fountain pen or get a pen that was super scratched up or had someone else's name engraved in it or it had dents or gouges, and I just didn't want to deal with that. And it was a lot of money to risk, and I was very new to all of this, and I just didn't want to deal with that. So I kind of just pushed it to the back of my head and didn't think about it anymore. Of course, over the years, I would always go back to entertaining the idea of getting a vintage Parker 51 in the Plum color, but I never did because it was just really risky, and I just didn't want to pay that much money for something I might not have a good experience with, So I just didn't do it. But I still loved the look of the Parker 51, and all these years I've been hoping that Parker would release or re-release the 51 in some shape or form. And the fountain pen gods answered my prayers and came out with this one. They announced it late last year. This is the new one. I just did a video on it recently. I know they had done a re-release of the 51 like 20 years ago that also pissed everybody off. I never got one of those. I don't know why I didn't, but I just never did. So I was just hoping they would come out with a new one. And when they did, when it was announced late last year, I saw that they had a plum color, and I was ecstatic. And I was like, I'm getting the plum color. And then they pushed the release date back, and it gave me some time to think. And I decided over the next couple months after they first announced it that I don't like gold caps. I don't like gold colored trim on pens. Even with the Plum, I'm probably not going to use it a lot because I really don't like gold trim. I'm okay with gold silver trim, but I don't like full gold trim, and that's what the new Plum was with the re-release, and I wasn't going to like that. So I eventually just decided I would get the black and silver or chrome or whatever, and I would be happy with that. All my pens are black and silver. I obviously like that color combo, so no problem there. But the idea of a Plum 51 did not leave me alone, and I just couldn't stop thinking about, I really, really want a Plum 51. So I started doing more research. I got on eBay, other vintage pen websites, and I started looking up the Plum, the vintage Plum. And I found this guy on eBay selling a bunch of Plums, various nib sizes. Some of them came in sets in their original boxes with mechanical pencils, and I didn't want any of that. I didn't care about any of that. I just wanted a fountain pen with a medium nib, at least a medium, in good condition, with somebody's name not engraved into it. And I found one, and I was super nervous. We'll come back to that. I was super nervous in getting this pen because for some reason every vintage fountain pen listing on eBay is just blurry as hell. You can't tell anything about the pen. I don't know if they're like trying to hide the micro scratches that all of these pens have. I mean, I don't know. None of them are clear. But I was really nervous. I emailed this guy like a million times, like, is this a scratch? What is that spot? Because I was so nervous because the pen was expensive. I don't think I overpaid for it because I looked up other Plums and they were all selling for about the same price if they were in good condition. So I feel comfortable that I did not get screwed with the price. So I'm happy with what I paid for it, with what I got. But he was very understanding. I told him this was my first vintage fountain pen. I was just really nervous, and he was very understanding. He was very nice. He answered all my questions in a timely fashion. And I debated on this pen for over a week, nervous that somebody else might buy it before I had made a decision. And I finally just decided to say, screw it, I'm going to get it. You know, I can return it if I need to. He did accept returns. So I bought it. It got here finally yesterday. It had been delayed. It was supposed to be delivered last Monday, but I live in a part of the U.S. that has been hit with a winter storm, and I was actually trapped in my apartment for 5 days last week. I didn't go to work at all because my road was too dangerous to drive on. So that's why I was making so many videos last week, because I was sitting here with nothing to do, just staring at the wall. But it finally came yesterday once the roads had melted a bit, and I have been playing with it since. It is more than I could have imagined. It is like 71 or 72 years old. So it's got some micro scratches. It does have a spot on the cap. But I mean, overall, for how old it is and for what I paid, I'm very, very happy with the condition. I did order some polishing stuff that I saw recommended on the Fountain Pen Network just to try it out. If it doesn't work, it's not a big deal though, because the scratches aren't like super apparent unless you get into bright light. But I'm so happy with what I got. It is so beautiful, and the color is gorgeous. Here it is compared with the black. You can tell the color difference there, kind of. Very, very dark purple. It's so beautiful. I'm so happy I got this pen. I have been really nervous about breaking into the vintage fountain pen market. Just because of the risks involved. It's very risky, and I was just really nervous about it, but I'm so glad I did. This pen has just shot to the top of my favorites. The nib, I was so nervous about the nib not writing because I like super glassy, smooth nibs, and I was so afraid that this nib was not going to write well. I would be terrified to try to tune it because, you know, if I screw the nib up, I'm out of luck. Unless I send it somewhere, and I didn't want to mess with anything. And I asked the guy, I was like, does it write smoothly? And he's like, oh yeah. I was like, okay, well, everybody's going to say that. But I got it, and by God, is it smooth. Oh my God, it's so smooth, and I love it. It requires 0 tuning. I would not dream of touching this nib simply for the fact that it already writes so damn perfectly already. I'm shocked at how well it writes. So I'm actually going to show you. And I'm not going to do a comparison writing, one, because I don't have this one inked up. I took the ink out of it. It writes, there's the same line width. It's not really any different. It's a medium. So let's get in close here. I have this inked up with Diatramentus Aubergine, of course. So this is my new 51 Plum. It's from 1949. And it's like writing with butter on glass. It's just, it's so smooth. It's a medium nib. And I think these are gold nibs. Are they 14 karat? I have no idea. Somebody should say that in the comments. I think these are 14 karat, but I'm not entirely sure. But they are, oh, it's so good. I'm so happy I could cry. I'm so lucky that this is my first vintage purchase. So lucky. And this has emboldened me. I actually purchased another vintage fountain pen. I purchased a Schaefer Valiant Snorkel from the 1950s, which I really like. I think it's called a Triumph nib. I really like those nibs. That's the only other vintage fountain pen I've seen that I've considered purchasing, simply because the nib is just so beautiful. So that should be here probably next week. I'm really excited about that. We'll see how that goes. I hope I don't fall into a rabbit hole with the vintage fountain pens. I know that can be a slippery slope. And then this looks like hard starting. It doesn't hard start. I just had the nib turned too far to like one side, so it doesn't hard start. It writes perfectly. There is nothing wrong with this pen. I am just, oh my God, I cannot tell you how happy I am that I got this. So here's the inside. It's got that aerometric. Filling system. I mean, this looks pretty good too. It doesn't, I mean, I guess, there's a little, I guess, glue or shellac. I have no idea. I don't know how these things are set up. I just know that I love it. And it's so tiny. It's like a little pocket pen, and it's just so comfy to hold. Oh my God. I have said before on this channel that I'm in love with my pens. This is true love. This is love that has always meant to be, but I haven't got a chance. I can't even describe it, how much I love this pen. I'm probably annoying you guys right now with my ramblings, but let's do a comparison. So here are here's the new one, here's the vintage. So this one is quite a bit thicker than the vintage, which is still really comfortable for me to hold. I don't mind that this is bigger. It is quite a bit taller as well. Bit girthier. Posted. I just unscrewed that. This is the difference here. This one is a little more back-weighted. The cap is a little heavier than this one. This one is very balanced. I have no problem writing with this as far as like comfort goes. It is super comfortable to write with, even more comfortable than this one, which surprises me because the barrel is narrower, or yeah, I guess narrower in diameter than the new one, because I usually like girthier sections, but this one is just beyond comfortable to hold and write with. Not to say this one isn't, but it is a little more back-weighted. The cap is a little heavier than the vintage. And I do know that the vintage, I believe anyway, the vintage 51 was made in different sizes. I feel like I've seen pictures comparing different vintage 51s that were different sizes. So I don't know specifically what, like, if this is like a small, I don't know how they size those things, or if they changed with the years they were produced. I have no idea. All I know is that it's perfect. I love it. I'm keeping it forever. It's just the best. I'm so happy. I'm so happy with this pen, you guys. And I have another vintage pen on the way, that Schaefer. I'm super excited about the Schaefer. It does have a mix of gold and silver on it, which I can accept. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of gold colored trim on pens, but I can take it if it's gold and silver mixed. And I don't know anything about the snorkel filling system, very little. So whenever I get that pen, I will definitely do a video on it and just show you guys. I hope this doesn't spiral out of control with the vintage fountain pens, because I have got my collection down to a good number, and I'm very happy having just a small amount to love on. So we'll just see how this goes. But I just wanted to show you guys my new little baby, and I'm over the moon with this pen. I'm so lucky to have snagged one in such good condition with such a fantastic nib. It's perfect. There is nothing about this pen that could be improved for its age anyway. I'm so happy with it. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you so much if you've made it to the end listening to my ramblings. I really appreciate it. I will see you next time. Thank you so much. Bye.